hockey. Yeah.
My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
It is Judd's Hockey Show, which means it's Judd, it's AJ, it's Jessi, Pierce, Bardown, Beauties, and NHL.com, where she covers the Wild for, and we will get to that in a little while. But AJ sent Jessi and I a note early this week. He said, I got an idea. I said, what's that? He sent me a trade idea involving Marco Rossi and the Anaheim Ducks. So Jessi, if you're with me, I am all for exploring what we like to call reckless speculation here on the Score North podcast. That sound good to you?
I'm in. Let's go.
All right, let's hear it, AJ. What is your constructed trade, your suggestion? In fact, Jessi can take this to Bill Guerin if she likes it and say, this is the deal to work, Billy boy.
Yep. Yes, and I'm going to give Jessi credit. She can take credit if Bill likes this idea because
no, I will give credit to you in case he hates the idea. In fact, so I've got my notebook ready and we'll just say this.
Well, knowing you're going to wait to see whether he likes it or not. But
this is true.
But over the holiday weekend, I'm sitting there at home, and I want to preface, I'm in a happy relationship, love my girlfriend, but also she knows that I'm married to the game. So I was scouring online, and I'm looking at reports and stuff. And I see this one little come across the ticker. Andy Strickland, who is the kind of rinkside reporter for St. Louis Blues, he throws out there that Mason McTavish, 2021 third overall pick, is apparently maybe not the most happy with the situation in Anaheim right now. And also on top of that, they are taking calls out in Anaheim on top line winger Troy Terry. So here's what I'm going to throw your guys' way. Mason McTavish, he is a center. He's 22 years old. He's technically, because he, unlike Marco Rossi, started a year earlier after, he didn't battle the health stuff and whatnot. So he is currently an RFA out in Anaheim. He's bigger. He wins faceoffs. But now with Michael Granlund coming in there, who I think during the playoffs for Dallas played on the wing, you'd expect when a team isn't as deep as like Dallas was for the postseason, he might shift back. They have Leo Carlson, top line center. Michael Granlund probably goes number 2. So if Mason McTavish isn't thrilled with maybe bumping down to a third line spot, why not Bill Guerin picks up the phone, dials out west and says, hey, boy, do I have an offer for you. We'll take Troy Terry, who is under contract, 5 more years, right now at age 27, $7 million AAV, has a 10-team no-trade clause, or 10-team no-trade list that he has in place. Mason McTavish, unsigned, RFA, we're going to say, we'll take both those guys off your hands. We're going to do you that favor. And in return, because you are the Anaheim Ducks and constantly rebuilding, and you've sent off Jessi's favorite goalie in the league, John Gibson, for Peter Mrazek and picks, and you just got rid of Trevor Zegras, and you got I think it was Ryan Paling back. You don't really know what you're doing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you 2 solid prospects. Marco Rossi, that's just the guy you want. Liam Ogren, maybe an exciting winger. We don't know. We don't want to play him, so we can't find out, but you can certainly find out. And then the kicker, because I think it's still lopsided in Anaheim's way, is either A, you say, hey, our guy Ryan Hartman, you saw how good he was in the playoffs. You're going to take him too, because that's a great foundational piece, because you're going to want to replace some of that scoring and probably add some more grit. But also, if you don't want him, we can add picks too, whatever works. So my official proposal, a long-winded way of saying, Wild receive Mason McTavish, 22-year-old center, Troy Terry, top-line winger, who can play on both sides, for Marco Rossi, Liam Ogren, then either Ryan Hartman, or if you, frankly, I'm at a stage where just throwing a first-round pick. It's not going to help you. So, if it makes you get a guy that you can rely on for the future, it's size-wise, but then also you're going to add the winger that I think everybody wanted them to potentially add in the offseason here in free agency. And then you don't have to rely on Vladimir Tarasenko getting second-line minutes. He can earn that if he wants, but otherwise he can just coast in at line number 3, do whatever he wants at age 35, and if he gets 11 goals, then I'm not as upset about it. What are your thoughts? What do we think about this? Am I totally off my rocker, or is this actually something that Bill Guerin might want to pull the trigger on?
Hit the button and say yes. go. I love Troy Terry's defensive ability too, which I think is huge. I think sometimes that's lacking in wingers. Third overall, Mason McTavish, right? Like that was their pick, third overall, and he is so unhappy there. It sounds like he wants to demand a trade. It doesn't sound like Anaheim wants to give him the long-term contract. He's young. You don't want Marco Rossi. Yes, for Bill Guerin, I like this a lot. Like, I think it's brilliant. Good job, Age. I'm going to bring it to him. I think
Thanks.
you need to hit it again. Troy Terry, an American hero, if you all recall from years prior as well. Yeah, I like it. There's nothing that I would really even adjust. I know fans probably are going to hate it. They're like, Marco, like, but it seems even. I think both teams, Bill Guerin does always like to say, both teams dancing together get what they need. I think this works well for Anaheim and Minnesota. So bravo.
It's very good. First of all, though, my guess now is that Jessi will take credit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to now. I like the way this sounds. This is good.
Yeah, exactly right. So I like it. Let's go through it a little bit too.
Yeah.
Does the Wild offer that AJ constructed, and let's say it's a first round draft pick, but Ogren, Rossi, first round draft pick. Does that get both of those guys onto both Troy Terry, I should say, and Mason McTavish onto the Wild roster? Is that enough? Because the other problem that I think you're dealing with is it's very, very clear that teams are like, if you put Marco Rossi on the fourth line in the playoffs, like why should we think that he's a premium player? And I'm sure that the Wild's response as well. He was second on our team in points, but it feels to me like the McTavish thing makes perfect sense. I guess my question is this: does Troy Terry being included up what you would have to trade them? Even do you think, Jessi, from what AJ suggested?
I mean, I think so. I think that's where I kind of like the Ryan Hartman addition. Again, there's movement that has to be made and conversations that would have to be made to get Ryan Hartman to go there. But I think adding that veteran presence, because Anaheim has got that weird, very young core, and they're not sure if they are full rebuild or if they're not. Like, they're never really fully all in on it, right? Like, it seems like they're getting closer with the movement of Trevor Zegras, obviously with getting rid of John Gibson too. But I think they still are missing that presence of a veteran. And now Ryan Hartman doesn't exactly exude leadership, in my opinion. So I think that would be a little difficult. But I don't mind the Ryan Hartman addition. Anaheim, I imagine, is going to come back and say, we don't want Hartman. We want somebody like, God, who else could?
Yeah, give me so like, and this is also the curveball to me that's intriguing about the Ducks is Joel Quenneville's now coaching them.
Mm-hmm.
So like they should make strides.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
so,
but I say that every year about Anaheim. Every year I think they're going to be better. And for whatever reason, they don't gel enough, it seems. Like, I think that's their biggest problem is they have too many of these hodgepodge one-off pieces that, yeah, I guess in saying this out loud, I don't know if Ryan Hartman's that wild player that they would want necessarily for that presence.
Was Joe Quenneville the coach in Chicago when they drafted Ryan Hartman originally? Because like,
probably had to be, yeah.
Is there a little allure there of like the familiarity that you could maybe, because also, I mean, it visually, if you just look at on paper, they're trading away their two top point getters from last season, which visually probably is bad. That being said, their two top point getters had 55 and 52 points. Yep. So clearly you're not a team ready to make a push for the playoffs. Like, you're not a contender. Go ahead.
What about Tarasenko? You're not locked in. I mean, right? Like, yeah, frankly,
fine. Yes.
And you can trade him, right?
Like, you can trade him, I believe.
NBA, when you get a guy, well, but that might be signing. So yeah, I mean, so Tarasenko and so I think to get Troy Terry out, it's Rossi, Ogren, and then they probably will ask for two more parts or a higher profile player. But yeah. Tarasenko coming off 11 goals isn't going to move the needle unless you throw in a first round pick. Like, or Hartman and a first round pick, or are we missing somebody who they could trade?
I think you come in. Could you just do Hartman and we'll give you a third? We'll give you our third for this coming draft, because right now they have just Anaheim first, second, third, and that's it for like higher end picks in front of the draft picks. So you start the stuff there. I really feel like if you come to the table and say Ryan Hartman, and then we'll get rid of our first round pick because we need to. I feel like you're showing your hand a little bit too flat, and I feel like Bill Guerin has shown he can be a little bit better of a negotiator than that. But
Sure.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Does Anaheim want a defenseman?
That's what I was going to broach
Probably.
next.
Right? Like, I
So,
think that's
yeah.
the other area that you'd
That's
explore. Say who you want to say, Judd. I feel like I'm not going to say it.
oh boy. Well, if you're going to get Troy Terry and McTavish,
They don't have they don't. They have one. They have one defenseman signed past this upcoming season.
Yeah.
and
like,
it's Olin Zellweger on a entry level contract. Otherwise, everybody else is a free
Okay.
agent after the season.
Okay, so they're going to ask for like this makes perfect sense. Then again, Jesse's right. They're going to ask for a defenseman in this scenario, which I love. I'm not going to trade him one of my really good young defensemen, obviously.
mhm.
So I will throw it out there. And by the way, I don't think they want Spurgeon. He's old and he's not,
No.
Jake Middleton is my guess of who they would ask for. Would you do this trade? Now let's scale it back to Rossi. Boy, and because I mean Jake's a pretty high profile. That's a great get for them.
Mhm.
So would it be Rossi, Ogren, Middleton for those? I mean, I feel like Troy Terry has shown that he would be a real asset. I don't know if you guys agree or not.
Yeah.
But I mean,
the only trouble there is he has the full no move, no trade. So you would have to sit him down and say, we need you to waive this for us to ship you out of town.
oh, Jake has that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course he does.
I was going to say, why are we shocked about that?
I recently signed a contract. I've got marriages are less secure than wild contracts.
That's
Holy matrimony, in the eyes of God, has less meaning in the contract than it does to sign with the Wild, which is a damn near a lifetime pass to, oh, you'll be here forever. Okay, yeah. So let's say he says no. Jessi,
I mean,
or
the
AJ, who else?
the D-men that probably make more sense for them are either Spurgeon with the 10 team, which I don't think they'd want,
I don't want
or Jonas Brodin, because he has no protection whatsoever, but they know he's hurt and
Yeah.
he's aging. So, like, how much value does he actually carry in a trade?
I
don't
mean,
know.
I'd want to ship out Bogosian, but yeah, that's not sexy to them. That's
No,
not
they're-
there's
they
right.
laugh.
Like,
They'd be
I'm
doing you a
just
favor at
saying.
No, I mean, this is Jessi, this is a high profile trade here. High stakes here.
You would need okay. All right. Let's
reset. Okay.
This is great.
This could be stupid. I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. David Juracek for Troy Terry, Mason McTavish, and you could also have Marco Rossi. So two for two. Then Anaheim gives us
Terry,
McTavish, and maybe one other thing because of how much they gave up for David Juracek.
well,
So if you're going to include Juracek,
Yeah.
you need to get a ton back. Now, Rossi, unfortunately, is just salvaged parts at this point because, again, it's evident that they don't want to have him here. So
well,
I know people aren't going to. Because, again, going back to the conversations that I've heard, is Juracek the guy that everybody has projected him to be? And people are starting to doubt that. Now, again, we haven't seen it, but Anaheim seems like a team that would take that risk. Minnesota doesn't want to look stupid by moving him after all they gave up for him. So they would need to, but again, Troy Terry, Mason McTavish, I think are a good return. I would still think you would need one or two more pieces from Anaheim in order for Bill Guerin to feel whole on the Juracek.
I would now, and this comes at least partially from what you've said that you have heard about him. It sounds like everybody is underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Who's not named Bill Guerin. So if you're talking about a trade that gets you McTavish and Terry, I would definitely consider this. Now, if the Ducks will bite, if the Ducks will say, but I mean, your point's well taken. The Wild might need to save face here, and yet also pivot very quickly if they feel the same way internally that your spies or sources feel. Yeah, I am not opposed. I'm not going to trade. If you trade Juracek, it better be in a deal that gets you something. But I would also consider this to be a deal that gets you something.
Would you,
So,
if I phrase it like this, does this sound all right to you? Would you trade Marco Rossi, a first-round pick, a second-round pick, a third-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a prospect that really doesn't have a place in your organization for Mason McTavish and Troy Terry? Would you make that trade?
I would, but I don't think the Ducks would.
Well, I'm just saying because that's exactly what you traded to get Jiricek. So like
Yeah.
when you phrase it that way,
Right.
that sounds like a lot, in my opinion.
Yep. I would make that trade, but my issue is I don't think the Ducks would make that trade. That would be giving up a lot for, future assets that you don't know. You don't know where the Wild's going to be drafting, which will probably not be, as always, not high enough to be influential, but not low enough.
Sorry, that I was more breaking down like Jiricek as those
Right.
like. So like I don't know. To me, that just sounds still like a lot. But if you're trading just the player,
right,
it probably makes more sense for them. I'm just thinking visually for the Wild. Maybe I wouldn't want them to trade that for JJ Peterka. I don't think that because that trade also didn't really solve your center issues as well. Like if you're moving Marco Rossi out too. But this at least you have the return of you're getting a guy that I like a lot in Mason McTavish, and then you're getting a really established. You know what you're getting. Scoring winger who, like Jessi said, can play defensively, so he's not going to just go cherry pick up in the neutral zone.
Gorgeous.
I would be curious to see what Greg Cronin has to say about all of this and get the insight from him, right? Like you can tap on that door too and be like, hey, what do we like about this? What do you think makes sense? What does Anaheim need out there? So that's definitely a helpful asset as well into exploring this. I'd say, yeah, I like it. I like Troy Terry and Mace McTavish a lot. The more I think about it, the more now I really want them. Now that's my new target.
Yeah, I just think that your idea, the Jiricek idea, I think if you traded him in this package would be sufficient as to not raise eyebrows about what are you doing because you just gave up a bunch of draft assets to get him. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think that there has to be some concern that one, he cracked the lineup for a while here, then got sent back down, then came up and did not play, and then of course went back to Iowa, got hurt, and then from what you've been told, it sounds like there's a underwhelmed faction of there's a reason why the Blue Jackets didn't play him. I mean, the sixth overall pick, which I believe he was by the Blue Jackets, had been bust before. So, yeah, I would definitely include him. And I should have known I forgot about Jake. Everyone's got a no trade clause, so that was a silly suggestion. Why would Good Ship Lollipop in St. Paul possibly want to get rid of some of its players? So.
And Bill wouldn't do it. There's no way. There's no way they're moving Jake Middleton. They between the character that he is, the way that he played, like they're too locked in.
Yeah, that's probably true. But yeah, Brodin I think he's just hurt way too much, and he's hurt again now. So unfortunately, because he's a hell of a player when he's healthy, I think that's a non-starter. And then I don't see anybody really wanting Spurgeon in a significant trade, just at his age now and his size and the fact that he's been hurt a ton. So, hey Jessi, let's get to this. So we had our first, I think it was the first ever Wild developmental camp. And more teams, I think, are doing this now. It might not be a ton, but it had no on ice component. It did have access though, so you got to talk to guys like Zeev Buyum and some of the draft picks. What were your takeaways from this? And let's start off with this question: what the hell did they do?
They did an escape room, and they went golfing, and they did a whole bunch of team building stuff. No, that's what they showed on the social media. Yeah,
just staying on Judd's face.
I know. Sorry, Judd. I think they had a lake day. All hung out in Bayard.
So what you're telling me is a bunch of guys in their late teens and early 20s were brought here to do what they were doing all summer at home anyway.
Yeah, kind of, pretty much. But
in branded team gear now.
In branded team gear, exactly. And there was a much smaller group. So usually development camp has a ton of guys, right? It's got your people, like it even has your invitees from tryouts and stuff like that. Like there's a whole bunch of people that come to development camp. Like I think last year there was like 8 goalies and whatever. This year, it was pared down dramatically. I think there were maybe 17 kids here, maybe up to 20. I'm not exactly sure. But we spoke with Zeev Buyum. They watched a lot of video, watched a lot of film. There was a lot of classroom type of stuff, it sounded like, too. A lot of gym time as well, a lot of off-ice training. I know a lot of fans were bummed that they couldn't come watch some of these guys. But again, it was a smaller group. You guys didn't miss too much. Yeah, that was what they did. But they did speak.
Did they
with
make it out of the escape room?
They made it out of the escape
Okay.
room, so that was good.
Somebody has to tell me what I get what an escape room is, but what's the game then? So you're in this room and you have to have your buddies help you to get out.
I've done
Like,
it once, and I'm too dumb for it. I'm not gonna lie, which
Like,
made
what's
me
the
more
gist of it?
frustrated.
I've never done it. It's supposed to be like team building. Like you get put in a room and it's like you solve puzzles to try to escape.
Yeah, it's like
Like-
clues and riddles, and then you have to like find different components, and eventually you have to find the key. Or like the one I was in was like a science type of one, which real out of my element here.
Yeah.
And you had to like find the code to get the magic anecdote to get out of this room. It's a lot of play and mischief and make believe. I don't know if we even got out. I don't think we got out. I think we died in that room. Like, a little
how
part of
did
my
this
soul definitely did.
And how did this improve the hockey team?
It just gets them ready for problems they'll have on the ice, perhaps.
Riddles.
In case they ever get locked in the
So
the
like
locker
when
room and need to get
Yeah.
out.
So like when the Golden Knights are forechecking you, you can come up with a riddle and get them to bed. Hey, Jack Eichel, hold on a second. Here's a riddle for you.
Well, there was a clear puzzle of all right, you're on a 2-man rush here and you're ahead of the play. Where should you be, on this side of the blue line or this side? Like what?
Well, no, Gus is in Winnipeg now.
The
Well,
biggest
well, yeah.
riddle of all, how do you get out of the first round? That's the one
Oh,
thing
I
we
like
haven't
that.
seen.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So I did see that Zeev Buyum was there, and I saw that he's been putting on some good weight. Is that right? He looks bigger because, like,
He looks a little bigger, but his goal is to get, I think he said 10 to 15 pounds heavier by the time
Okay.
camp comes. He's going to go back home for a little bit, California, train there more with his brother. They've got this skating coach, and then he will come back. I'm assuming he's not world junior. He can't, never mind. He'll be back here at some point in time, obviously before camp, and he'll stay through camp and everything like that too. So yeah, he same kind of exuded the same confidence, although again, he reiterated, I want to make an impact on the team. I don't want to just be a roster spot. I want to be somebody that can make an impact and do something.
I hope
like
so.
I'm just saying.
No. Like
giving it
I'm not
props,
mad.
Judd.
I'm not.
He said it.
Appreciate the information. I hope he thinks he can make a huge impact.
Yeah.
I don't
He
want to be
wants
part of the team. He should say my goal is to knock off Spurgeon from I want to be on the top pairing. That should Zeev. That's the goal here. This is not a popularity contest. You should want to knock, like Brodin's going to be out to start the season. Zeev Buyum's got a great chance. I mean, quite frankly, Juracek's got a great chance.
Yeah. Unless he goes to Anaheim.
Yeah. Well, if he's here and he's not in the opening night lineup, we got problems. I'm going to tell you that right now. We got problems. If he's not an opening night right shot defenseman that cost you that much, and he ain't a kid now, that's one where I think he's got to be. Like if he's not on the opening night lineup, I think you've got a real issue with him.
Yeah. You have to try it. Like unless something happens and can't, like there's no reason for him not to be.
No, exactly. One more thing to get to, but before we do, I want to talk about something very happy. I want to talk about a place where there's no escape room because you don't want to escape. You want to go there, and that is Parlor Bar, our friends at Parlor. I've been talking for months about the location down West 7th from the X, now going to be Grand Casino. Who cares? It's the Wild Arena. Parlor Bar there, Parlor Bar North Loop, but how about this? West Metro, folks. That's right, my old stomping grounds. Excelsior. Parlor Bar in Excelsior, absolutely fantastic. Spend a day on the lake and then dine at Parlor. Been telling you about the burger. Parlor Burger, absolutely fantastic. Chicken sandwich, great. Craft cocktails. Just an absolutely fun place to hang out. And what better place than in Excelsior? So check out Parlor Bar in Excelsior. Okay, what are we to make of it? Jessi, we'll start with you. What are we to make of it that we now find out that not only are the Rossi camp and the Wild not on the same page, but they haven't talked for weeks or a month plus. Like they're not even communicating. He's an RFA. Bill Guerin said that they will match any offer he gets, although I'd be curious if somebody came along with a real, like a juicy offer sheet at $7 million per, which would cost them a bunch draft pick compensation wise. But when we find out that they are no longer talking, And, training camp is a month plus away, but still, I find that to be a very interesting tell about where things stand between a player who's a pretty good player and his employer after he got demoted to the fourth line in the playoffs.
I mean, Marco Rossi recently got married, so congratulations
good
to
for him.
him as well. Yep. So I'm plus for that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's par for
No
the course.
move?
I see this Drake.
No, he's got a better chance of being divorced than he does of being well, actually not the rest of his teammates do. Again, marriage is less sacred than when you sign a contract with the Wild.
But it's got to be par for the course. How many times can you go back to the table with the same offer? Like neither side wants to budge on what they are, right? Like to me, it's exactly what I expected. This is going to dribble into training camp. I just don't see the sides coming to an agreement right now at this point. Like I just think it's going to be very, very difficult for where they're at because again, their camp wants what they want. Bill Guerin said, nope, we have, as he's reiterated to us, we have him slotted in at a certain amount of money for a certain term. That's what we're at, which credit to both of them for standing strong in doing what's right for their team and for their player. Right. Like, so it's not surprising. Again, I've been concerned about it for a lot longer than now. I don't think that has changed at all. It will definitely, I think, drag on for the rest of the summer without a resolution. I would be more surprised if it got resolved than where it's at now.
Go ahead, Age.
Even more reason why he should be looking at real estate in the Anaheim area. Yeah. It feels like something should give, but it really doesn't feel like either side is going to. Like, I think Bill Guerin and crew, like, no, we don't want to commit to him, and they're not going to say it. They'll give us the PR lip service of, we like him and we think he's a good player, and to kind of salvage what they've already ruined, which is after throwing him on the fourth line in the playoffs, your third highest point getter. It's like, you clearly have a very stern opinion on how he fits into your team, which he doesn't. So they're not going to just all of a sudden show up one day and say, yeah, well, hey, let's do it 7x7, 6x8, whatever. Like, let's sign it. And I really don't think Rossi and his team are going to, show up and be like, you know what, this has been a lot of fun, but you guys are right. I would love to take a 2-year deal and make $5.5 million. Like that's just not going to happen. So I don't know. I've seen a couple talking heads on like NHL Network and Sportsnet and TSN kind of say like they feel Marco Rossi now, it probably looks like he'll stay with, it's more likely he stays with Minnesota, but I feel the opposite. I feel the opposite.
Like if he's not going to sign, he's not going to play.
Exactly. And they're I feel like they're in a position now where you can't have a guy who should be your second or top line center, depending on how the line striker, you can't just have that guy sit. Like you're in a win now thing. You can't have that important of a guy just like, yeah, I'll just kick up my feet next to Judd and we'll see how these guys do.
I agree. Like, I just don't see him, if they're not going to budge, I don't see him playing. And I mean, he can sit. So this is, I mean, one, it does bolster AJ's case to make a trade, but two, Bill Guerin also, like, here's the thing is you can't be stubborn about how you are going to pay Rossi and you devalued him, but then be stubborn on what the return is. So where do you give? If you're Bill Guerin, like, do you give in the trade and again, put together a package? Like Marco Rossi on his face now is clearly not going to get you back what you want, or I think he'd be traded by now. So, but then you can't turn around to Rossi and say, well, here's where you're slotted in. And he's like, no, that's not what I want. And like, to me, at that point in time, if you won't trade him and you won't give him close to what he wants, he's not going to show up and not going to play. So
Bill Guerin had how many holdouts in his career?
Couple, right?
2 or 3, right?
Yeah. Like he was stubborn, but Bill Guerin also got traded because I always felt like Bill Guerin's value was like Bill Guerin was a known commodity. Mm-hmm. Like if a GM had tanked, if the first time Bill Guerin held out, a GM had tanked his value, I think that would have created problems. And that's how unless you guys completely disagree, I see this as Marco Rossi's value's been tanked. So teams are like, we'll give you something, but we're not going to give you what you want. And that's where AJ's idea is great because, okay, now you're just going to have to throw in pieces, and it's not ideal, but it's what it's the bed, unfortunately, that you've made. All right, kids, that's it for us. AJ, congratulations. That was an awesome trade idea. I love it. Always feel free to bring reckless speculation that makes sense. Jessi, you, of course, can take that to Bill and take complete credit for that.
I'm going to judge his face first. So I'm going to be like, what are the eyes giving me? And if it's like, oh, okay, then I'll be like, yeah, thank you. I just was laying awake in bed one night. I'm always thinking of how to better this team.
Yep.
And if they're angry eyes, then I'll be like, that AJ Fredrickson, he's on Judd's hockey show. Judd, Judd. Yeah, it's those two idiots. So
yep. And I'm going to give the entire world a no trade, no move protection because I don't think anyone should ever be sent to a place that they don't want to go, no matter how many millions of dollars that they're making. We'll see you later.
Mm-hmm.